Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drawing Mugs. This is now the fourth time I've tried to record this. I didn't get very far in the other ones, um, but I keep getting hung up because I don't know if this is supposed to be like a show or just like a personal diary kind of thing. Uh, so, yeah. But anyway, so today I drew a character called Alina. She is a pretty standard person, woman, whatever. And the whole shtick of her character is that she's going on a big backpacking adventure cross country, stuff like that. So, yeah. What I was going for with her is she's supposed to be fairly, like, average, um, which is not descriptive. I have this sort of idea of the character in my head, but when I try to explain it, especially characters like these that are more based in reality, I tend to fall into this trap of being like, this character is boring on purpose. But I swear they're not that boring. Um, so sort of trying to translate that into words is a bit hard. But what I was trying to go for with her is she's sort of like self confident, but still unsure of herself. Somewhere in the middle ground. Something like that. Polite, I think, is the right word. She would be the kind of person where it's like, oh, hey, how you're doing? I'll be nice to you on the outside, but the more I get to know you, I'll probably tell you to shut up eventually, if I get sick of your shit. But yeah, sort of like someone who constantly does things and pushes herself, even though she's not, like, super special, I guess. So yeah, I was trying to make her, like, in this sort of style. She's supposed to be cute, but not like in a way that's like, oh, this person is attractive. Not that she's unattractive, but I wasn't like pushing for like a this person is attractive. It's more like I just want this character design to be cute. If that makes any sense. Sort of more in the way that it's like a dog is cute, less than like a person is cute. Um, if that makes sense, you know. So the way I did that, was pretty simple. I mean, it's not like I'm reinventing the wheel here or anything, but just big head, tiny body, more chibi style kind of thing, I guess. And I sort of wanted this almost like awkwardness in the way that she is designed. Not so much that like she'd be like, oh, it'd be hard to talk to her in an elevator, but like make the bag a bit bigger on her back, and just yeah, have things be disproportionate. You so that was kind of what I was going for. I was pretty happy with how she turned out. Characters like these tend to be harder to design because since they are average, right, and since the personality isn't as strong, sometimes the design of the character and how you want them to like express and emote can come off as just super boring, right? Or not obvious enough, right? If you have a character that's a hothead who's angry all the time, it's pretty easy. Okay, make his hair look like fire, use orange and red, right? And then make him angry. Super simple. Anyone could do it, right? But when you're trying to find a character that's more in the middle ground, you sort of need to hide that underlying personality in other ways and have it pop out where you can while still having losing my train of thought here, having that sort of sense of like groundedness, I guess. So I guess the way I tried to do it here is mainly with the face. I really wanted it to be as like telling as possible. Like you see like the lines I'm doing underneath the eyes, those are supposed to be like baggy, right? But then she also has like the three marks under her eyes, which could be either to like sort of like not eyeshadow. Football players can wear eyeshadow. They're allowed to wear eyeshadow, but they don't. They wear something else. Whatever that thing is that you rub underneath your eyes. So these like lines in the face could either be like, oh, she's like blushing, or she's like more gritty. And I think leaning into either of those was something that I felt like lined up with the character. So that's why I kind of mean where I'm like, I'm attempting to bring this personality to the surface enough without really pushing her into being like super obvious of who she is, if that makes sense. Mostly I'm just rambling though. I'm not really sure exactly what words to use. I'm just trying to describe how I'm thinking about it. And maybe you can think about things like that too. Maybe you're struggling with a character that you think is like, well, they're sort of boring, but I still really like them, and I know that I like them. How do I get that through the character without pushing them into an extreme? Uh, but yeah, I enjoy where I landed. It's satisfying to work on something for a while, and then just feel like you really nailed it. You know, some characters come super naturally. Like I said, angry hothead character, boom, I can make that in an instant. You know, not that he's gonna be interesting or anything, but characters that are more of a challenge that are hard to figure out, really, it feels good when you get him. You know, especially when you like him. I really like this character. I don't know if I said it already. I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. So yeah. But anyway, so on the other character sheets I was doing, if it's a character that's more complex and more of like an anime-esque style, I'll do 2 body drawings, 3 faces, and then a dynamic. For the cartoon, I just skip the faces because generally you're going to be working 2-dimensionally anyway. So if you have the face down of the character, you probably don't need to do the faces on their own. You can, obviously, but that's just my thinking behind it. Don't notice how I completely painted her face black. I wasn't. It was just a little mess up. Okay, I'm sorry. I will make an apology video afterwards. But yeah, when I was drawing here, I really wanted to start with the face because it's like I said, it was the most expressive part of the character, and I was thinking like, okay, if this character is a more chibi-esque, cartoony style, having a really recognizable centerpiece, obviously being the face, is going to be the most important part. So I want to make sure that the colors lined up well. And I altered them later. I changed the hair color and the eye color and the skin color, all that. But that I'm just sort of walking through my process, I guess. So yeah, but first with the color, I was thinking the story I have her in like a head, she would be like a counterpart to someone else. So I was like, oh, maybe he'll wear red and green, and maybe she'll wear orange and blue, or something like that. You know, they're just different colors to give her a different color scheme. And I actually moved away from this. I mean, you see what I'm messing around with now is like very like teal, aquamarine kind of thing. It didn't really work out. But I I'm not entirely sure about the colors at the end. Right now, these colors are going to change, so I don't really have much to say about them. You know, you just walk through. I guess a good artist tip, when you're doing color design, make sure you do all your colors on a separate layer, just so you can go and change them super easily before. This is something that's like super obvious, but I just haven't been doing it until now, and it just makes designing the character so much easier because you can just go back and edit the colors afterwards instead of having to redraw the entire thing. Like I was doing color on one layer, it was horrendous. But yeah, do all your colors on separate layers. But yeah, right now like this color scheme wasn't working, so I decided to go over to the red, and that's sort of in line with what I was talking about, where I was like, well, I want there to be this sort of like underlying confidence in the awkwardness, sort of. Like the pose I have her is more very like polite, like, oh hi, how are you doing? You know, shoulders up, hunched over a little. You know, it's not really like a big strutting kind of pose or anything like that. So I was hoping that that red could sort of bring out that confidence while having her be humble still, if that makes sense, right? There's an edge to her that is underneath the surface and try and bring that to light. Like I was talking about the face too, where it's like you sort of want to bring that personality in little by little and with little hints, without being extreme about it, right? So I tried to do the same thing with the color scheme, and was it successful? I don't know. I liked it, but yeah, I'm just talking about my thinking. None of this is like advice, except the layer thing. That was just really helpful to me. I'm just trying to talk about how I walk through things, and if something makes sense to you, and you're like, hey, that does make sense, man. I'm going to use that when I do my art. Then sick. But be critical, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I just hope I do. And I think I do. But not entirely. It's weird. Anyway. But yeah, so this was sort of the color scheme I landed on. What actually ended up happening is I changed the green later because I was realizing as I was working on this dynamic pose without the backpack, the green really didn't help the design, and especially when there was no backpack there for the shoes, since the shoes and the backpack are green, them matching nice was nice before, but now the backpack wasn't there. I was like, oh, I just have this random green color for no reason. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't line up with the rest of the color scheme. So I went back and actually changed that out for colors that were already on the character, right? Brown shoes, and I used the black from the hair on the little highlights on the shoes, like the stuff on the bottom instead. And I think it turned out a lot nicer. I think it made the character a lot more focused, and having just that red and darkish blue be the center focus really defined that sort of contrast and underlying confidence that I was talking about. And then there's this little fish. I call him the Joker fish because he's red and green. I don't call him the Joker fish. He was just there. But anyway, so that is Alina, or Aliana. I didn't say it right at all. Aliana. And that was what I drew today. So yeah, I hope you have a good one. As always, here's some old art that I have. So look at it. It's embarrassing. But yeah, I hope you have a good one. Keep drawing. I'm going to keep drawing later, not today. And see you around.